Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Think Tank Thursday. I'm thrilled that you're joining us. My name is Denise Killian with Trainertainment. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank our 2025 digital sponsors. We appreciate their support, which helps us offer you new episodes of Think Tank Thursday each and every week. Well, as you know, on Thursdays, Trainertainment likes to take a moment from all the doing and spend just a little bit of time thinking. So today we're going to be talking about careers and talking about how you can make your current position into a full-time career in this industry. And we're joined by Keitha McBride and Clint Novak with A&A Global. They've got amazing stories about what led to their career and how they got started in this industry. And they even have a little bit of advice for what you can do to help move your career forward. So let's get started and meet Keitha and Clint. Hello to Keitha and Clint. Welcome to Think Tank Thursday, y'all.
I'm excited.
Yes. Listen, this is super fun having both of you on to talk about careers and your career path. So I'm really excited about sharing people's stories. A lot of people think that this industry is just or any first-time job, second-time job, summer job, and that's it. There is career opportunity here and pretty good career opportunity in this industry. So it's really fun to talk to you and speak to you about your paths and what you've taken. So both of you are from A&A Global. So I want to start off with Keitha. Just tell us a little bit about what you do right now for A&A Global, and we're going to get into how you got there in a minute.
Yes. So, hi everyone. We're so happy to be here on this Think Tank Thursday, and I'm happy to be with my coworker Clint. And I am currently a regional sales associate for A&A Global. I reside here in Texas and work accounts throughout the country, but primarily focus on locations here in the DFW and surrounding areas.
Wonderful. And Clint, same question. What are you doing right now for A&A Global?
So I am the business development manager with A&A Global, and that is kind of a title for a broad number of things that I do. I do everything from social media content. I do blogs, replay magazine articles, but I also go out and visit locations and help them maximize their opportunities. So whether it's make more money, saving money, better operations, better guest experience, I do tours with the facilities and then give them everything I have in this head that they can then utilize to be a better place.
That seems equal parts exciting and scary, everything in your head.
I once claimed, or I'm sorry, the facility I visited claimed that I saved them millions of dollars because I told them that they had to watch out. They had a basketball game and they had a sprinkler head right above it. And if the basketball hits a sprinkler head, it could set off the sprinkler system. And they're like, we just have to put a cage around that. And they said, well, you could have saved us millions there. So there you go. Now everybody can take that, go back and look up at their ceiling and say, do I have a fire suppression system up there? So
right. Are we constantly throwing projectiles in the area where we have something hanging down? Like
you're going to literally make it rain in your arcade if you do that.
Yeah. Which, not a good time at the end of the day, right?
No.
All right, so Clint, let's start with you. And I want to really just explore how you got to where you are and made a career out of being in this industry. So start off and tell us a little bit your story.
Okay, well, I started as a fan of the industry in about 1999. I was in Minnesota at the time. I was traveling to ride roller coasters. I worked at Valley Fair, which was an amusement park in Minnesota. And then in 2000, I did my first big road trip to Cedar Point in Ohio, 14-hour drive to ride Millennium Force, which is a brand new roller coaster. It was the tallest and fastest in the world when it opened. And that's really what got me started in the industry, was becoming a fan of the industry. I started going to IAAPA in 2004. And I went every year since then. So I was going as media. I would go for a YouTube channel called In the Loop. I would record content from the show floor itself, and then we would upload that content to YouTube, showing off all the new products and stuff. Then I eventually migrated over and got a job at Funland of Fredericksburg. When I started there, I interviewed a few times for positions like marketing manager and just operations manager. I was told by the owner that I was not qualified for those positions and was turned down. And I told the GM, who I was friends with at the time, that I wanted a job. I was DJing in bars at the time, not my kind of atmosphere. I was ready to get out, and he said, "I'll make you a ride operator." And so I started as a ride operator at Funland. 3 months later, I was advanced to manager, and then a year later to general manager. And I ran Funland of Fredericksburg for 8 years. We got the Best Breakout FEC Golden Ticket Award winner in 2023 as I was making my transition over to A&A Global. And so I never thought I would be on the vendor side of things. I always thought I would be an operator, and I still kind of consider myself an operator because I'm still heavily involved in the operations of many facilities. And so it's really weird. I work for a vending company, but I'm trying to help the operators operate better. And it's a great fit. So I really enjoy what I'm doing now.
So one of the things that I just want to key in on here that I kind of love is one, persistence. You wanted to be there. You found a place you wanted to work and you were persistent about it, which is wonderful. But you were also willing to literally start at the bottom.
Yes. So when I was in radio many, many years ago, so this is 98, 99, I wanted to work on radio really, really badly, but I didn't know how to do it. I was in high school at the time. So I called the afternoon DJ at my favorite radio station, 104.1 The Point in the Twin Cities, which doesn't exist anymore. But I called him every day and I'd be like, "Hey, I want to be your intern. I want to be your intern." And he had met me through television. We had a television studio at our high school. We were really big into TV stuff. He met me through that. And then I was like, no, actually, radio is what I want to do. I don't want to do TV. I want to do radio. And finally, after like 6 months of bugging him every day, he said, "Just come in. We're going to make you the intern." And he explained to me, it was a Monday afternoon. He was on from, 2 to 7 every day. I came in at like 6 o'clock. He said, "Every Monday you're going to come in for 1 hour and you're going to help me with intern stuff, doing production work, cutting commercials, doing all of that kind of stuff. You're not going to fetch coffee. You're not going to go out and hand out bumper stickers. You're not part of the promotions team. You are going to be an intern who helps me." And the first thing he had me do was get coffee, which I was fine with. But I didn't. I went there every single day for 6 months. I didn't leave. I kept going there every day. I would help the overnight guy. I would help the night guy. I would do everything. If they asked me to do it, I would never say no. I'd just say yes. And one day, a radio station in Mankato called and said, "Hey, our night guy's sick. We don't have anybody to fill in. Is there somebody there who can fill in?" And they said, "Yep, Clint is on his way." And I had my first radio gig going. I drove an hour and a half to Mankato, and that got me started. And so, really similar to that story, is really what kind of formed my work ethic. Is it doesn't matter where you start from, as long as you say yes, you do it, you show your work, and you're persistent. You can, and sometimes there's a little bit of luck. I mean, if that phone call didn't come on that day, I'm sure there would have been another one another day. But that's what I did with Funland. So I knew I was the right fit for it. They didn't know I was the right fit for it. And to this day, I'm still very close friends with the owner who turned me down twice, and I still bring it up. I'm like, "Remember when you didn't say I was qualified to do your marketing, and now I'm running your facility?" So it was always fun.
Yeah, and that's it. That persistence is really important. I have a similar kind of fun story, also in the broadcasting industry. I was broadcast journalist for 27 years. I got my start working part-time at a TV station in college as the studio camera operator because I needed beer money, like every college kid does. And it was just this part-time job. The studio camera operator doesn't even exist anymore because they're all robotic cameras now, right? But I started there and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting." And then I learned how to run the Chiron lower third. I learned how to run audio. I learned how to direct. I learned how to produce. I started reporting, like, right? So by the time I left, I was a full-time employee who was a reporter and producer. So but started with this part-time job. But that I
Big
was
difference.
curious. Yeah.
Big difference. You got beer money. I did not.
True, true. Well, it was a long time ago. Beer was like $1.85, right?
I got no money. No, I was a literal intern, but and it was kind of funny because I wasn't going to college for it. I wasn't going to high school for it anymore at that point. I said I wanted to do it so bad that I was willing to work for free, and so they're like, okay, you're an intern. So it's crazy.
And I don't encourage anyone out there to work for free. And I think it's actually illegal now. They
Yeah,
don't even
probably.
allow interns. You have to have some kind of either payment or college credit or
Yep.
something
Yep. And I'm sure
for
in
it.
'99 that probably was still it too, but I was so persistent that they just let me do it. And so, but
99 make it,
eventually
yeah.
I did start getting paid from them as a part-time on-air talent and all that. So
Mhm.
eventually it worked out in my favor. So,
Yeah. So it's the persistence. It's the
yep.
I really want to do this thing and I'm going to do the grunt work. I'm going to pay my dues. I'm going to take this opportunity to show them who I am, what kind of a worker I am, what my potential is,
Yeah.
and then be persistent about that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Keitha,
Yes.
I want to hear your story. How did you get started in this industry?
So my career journey started right out of high school. So I was born and raised in Denton, Texas. And from at the time, we had about 66,000 people within living in Denton. So we were not necessarily a small town, but we didn't have the destination restaurants that, Dallas had at the time. So one day I told my mom, I said, I am driving to Dallas with my girlfriend and I am going to go find a job in Dallas on Restaurant Row. And if you're from the Dallas area, you know what Restaurant Row was like off of Walnut Hill. It was the place to be, it was happening. Some of the best restaurants were located on that street. So I decided I was going, so we did. And so we started at the end of the street, which was called Composite or Corporate Drive. And DMB was the first location. So I remember what I was wearing. I remember who interviewed me, and I got the job on the spot. So that was in 89. So I started as a server. I worked my way up to the top server. So I was responsible for writing the schedule for all the cocktail servers and assisting with the training. So I did that for several years. Ended up becoming a bartender. We kind of did both. And it got to a point, and my mom encouraged me to go finish college. So reluctantly, I left D&B, finished college, and went to TW in Denton and graduated with a degree in marketing and merchandising with a focus for fashion, which I still love very much. So I did actually use my degree. So I graduated and I thought, you know what? I really just something about Dave and Buster's. It was just one of the most friendly places to work. And DMB were very entrenched in the location at the time. When I worked there, we only had two locations. So I went back, and Corey Haynes, who is still within our industry, said, Keitha, why don't you come back? And we are looking to for someone to become our buyer. Start at this, so become a server, start serving again, and we'll put you in this position in 6 months. So that was May of 1996. I became their first official buyer. And it was just a dream come true. And so I did that for several years, and then we can talk about the rest of it. But I just am so grateful for Dave and Buster's and the opportunities that they provided me. Just so grateful for them and all of my friends that still work there for sure.
So, I mean, what I'm hearing is that it was a good environment. That's important, right? We want to work
Yes.
someplace that's a good environment, but you were also rewarded for hard work. and you were
Yes.
rewarded for being good at what you were doing. So they gave you more
Yes.
responsibilities and more responsibilities and more responsibilities, right?
Right. So I stayed at Dave& and Buster's for 7 years as their buyer and had an opportunity to do some consulting. And I did that for a little over 5 years. And I completed that and then went into sales and have been doing sales for the last 12 years or so. And I really enjoy it, but there's always a buyer part of me that's in that. So I see things from both sides, being in sales and also being a buyer. And so if I were to say anything to anyone, it's, you can go in different directions within an organization for sure. And there's always just opportunities to grow, and I'm sure with Clint as well. And I loved hearing his full story. And definitely, you're so intriguing, all of what you've done, Clint, and how you've so evolved. But both of us, and even all three of us, have really had the chance to, travel the country. I've been able to travel abroad. So there's a lot of opportunity to do other things besides just be in the location. If you put your mind to it and know where you want to go with it, speak your mind and let your organization know, what your interests are and what you really would like to do and how you could be of benefit to your company.
Keitha, I think that's just such an important point that you just made. I want to double down on it and say it again and underline it and underscore it. Be vocal about what you want, right? Like, I want to be where you are. I want to grow. I want to develop. If you're not vocal about that, they're not going to know.
Right. And it's very important. And I think we could all agree that it's important to maintain the relationships. And that was what helped me. I think when I left Dave and Buster's, I left on good terms. It was just really important to, to myself and to my mom that, I finished college. And I'm so grateful that I did, because it gave me that foundation coming back. But I kept that relationship with my GM, the managers, even the staff, at the store level. And I think that's really important too, that you maintain the relationships. Just because you leave doesn't mean that you have to leave the relationships behind. And to this day, I'm still very close to many of my friends, at Dave and Buster's. And of course, I've met other people outside of that, including yourself. And you can really foster having great relationships and friendships. And I think that's really important too, because I really feel like this industry has not only given me opportunities to do things, but it's exposed me to wonderful people who are like-minded, and we have the same goals. We're passionate about the industry. And it's just really important that you have a friend base. And I truly, if I make a post or I'm talking to my friends, or, outside of the industry or within, I really refer to them as my industry fam, because I have friends who are like, come visit, or how are you doing? And just check in. And I think that's really important too.
Absolutely. And, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So
Right.
even if you are starting at a one location place, there's opportunity to grow within that location, from being the receptionist, the front desk check-in person, to the GM, the ride operator to the GM, or being exposed to all of the vendors that work with our industry. You guys both started on location and you're now working for a vendor. And I think the knowledge that you've gained from working on location helps make you a better vendor, because you understand the needs and the things that are happening on location, and want to help them out, right? Clint, how have you seen that relationship has impacted your career development?
I mean, it's 100%. If I didn't work at Funland, I wouldn't be in the position I was today. Really, what A&A Global is trying to do is harness that operations background of mine to help grow A&A and their clients. And so, it was super important. And like Keitha said, when Five Star Parks and Attractions took over Funland of Fredericksburg. They have 27 locations. They were a big company that came in. We didn't necessarily see eye to eye on operations, and that's kind of why we separated. But I wanted to make sure that we separated on good terms because I knew this industry, well, is large, is also too small to burn bridges. And so it was really important to me that while we were choosing to separate, that we kept a good relationship between the two of us because I knew at some point, no matter where I ended up, I would end up working with them or for them again. And same thing with A&A. It's really weird because I remember meeting Jerry, who is now my boss, walking from our condos to the IAPA Expo. We were walking over one day, and that was we had a brief conversation, and that was 2 years before they engaged me in a position at A&A. And so you never know what conversations are going to spark your next your next opportunity. So.
And if I may interject, I love that you just said that about A&A. When I was the buyer at DMB, I remember going to A&A's facility to do a walkthrough because we were actually buying the gumballs from A&A for the beaver machines. Not many locations have beaver machines any longer, but we were going simply to select which gumballs we were going to have within those machines. So my relationship with A&A goes back, as long as I've been in the industry, and Brian Ross, who is still with A&A, was my rep. So again, just fostering those relationships, you just never know when you're going to encounter, someone from a previous organization. So I love that you said that, Clint.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Paul Miller was my rep, and he's still there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for any industry, recognizing the relationships that you build will mean something later. Be
yeah,
curious, be kind, be respectful, I love the curious part, right? Be curious. What do you do? What was that like? How did you get there? What does it take to be in that position? Having those conversations. And as Keitha beautifully pointed out earlier, be vocal about what you want.
yeah.
Because if you're not, they're not going to know.
I call them stories. So every time I visit a location, and last year I visited 150 locations, every location, I want to know the owner's story. How did they get involved in the industry? What was their background? How did they get through COVID? Like all of these things. And every place has a different story. And some of the stories are just simply amazing. Like it's like how did you get from point A to point B? And it's amazing. So.
And listen, I'm going to give this. Oh, sorry, Keitha, go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna, prior to doing this, I mean, I know I love my story. I love Clint's story. And Denise, I've heard your story too. And there's so many of us within the industry that have wonderful stories about how we landed, where we are today. I just know I'm grateful about mine and just so blessed. And I just think it's just really neat. And I think if we share the passion about the industry to others that either, we work with, or if there's someone within a location, because we certainly want people to come into our industry, to keep it thriving, to keep it interesting, innovative ideas. And I know I try to always learn. I learned from Clint listening to him, and certainly I've learned a ton from Denise and you, Denise, and Beth, and just so many of our other mentors out there. So I just wanted to throw that in there too.
Yeah, and that mentorship, right? I think if the best piece of advice, aside from Keitha, speak up and say what you want, right? And Clint, work hard and be persistent. And the third for me would be find that mentor. Find
Yeah,
someone who you respect and you can learn from, that wants to foster that relationship and wants to help you grow. Find those people, right? And
yeah.
and keep that contact with them.
For me,
Definitely.
it was the GM of Funland before me, with Tony Tallarico. He also worked at Dave and Buster's. So I don't know, Keitha, if you know Tony or not, but
Yes.
he was the one who, I guess you could say, believed in me, and is the one who really fostered that, let's educate Clint, get him to where he needs to be. So as a ride operator, I was probably doing more than other ride operators just because I was learning all of those things necessary to become a manager. And then once I became the manager, he was throwing my hat in the ring for general manager. So he's the person who really made that step from a fan of the industry to a professional in the industry.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
if
it's
I
I
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Keitha.
No, I was just going to say, yes, I know Tony and I worked with him at DMB, and that's such a great thing that he did. And so I'm sure you're very grateful to him for doing that. Because sometimes we need someone in our corner that truly believes in us, to give us that opportunity. And sometimes that doesn't happen, but you just have to keep going and match yourself with the person that's going to guide you and mentor you and certainly give you some good advice. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So, speaking of advice, normally on Think Tank Thursday, we have our Think Tank Thursday question about growth because we believe in growth at Trainertainment and at the Growth Pro group. But today, I want you guys to give those people who are thinking about where can I go next? How can I make this my career? What advice would you leave our viewers with? Clint, I'm going to start with you.
Well, I think Keitha actually kind of said it earlier. It's figure out what your path is. Where is it that you want to end up? And it's not, you're not going to go from A to B overnight. You have to figure out what the path is to get to your overall goal. And that, I think that goes not only for your job, but if you're running a facility, where do you want your facility to go? It's going to be a direction. How do you get to the end goal of where you're trying to go with your facility as well? And so it's just figure out what position you want to be in, where you want to be, and how you're going to get there.
All right, that's a fantastic piece of advice. Miss Keitha, what's yours?
I would say speak to your GM, your manager, your team leader, and kind of see how they are where and how they got there. And then I would actually I'm a big write it down person, so I would definitely do that. And I just and think and also I think it's important that you decide and do research on where you want to work, which organization, because there are some that may not match up with how you believe or how you operate or their mission statement. That's important to look at. We discussed that in our team meeting this morning. So I would say number one, do some research on the organization. Number two, when you're there and you're happy and you're in a good place and you see that things are moving along, definitely sit down with your GM and express your desires and your interests in where you would like to go, and then what you're doing outside of that to get you to that point, whether it's outside education. In my situation, it was my marketing and merchandising degree that helped me. Doesn't mean you have to have a college degree by any stretch, but just digging in, learning everything that you can, and working within different departments, I think that helps also.
Mhm. No, all wonderful pieces of advice. And that, being persistent, showing up, working hard, and being curious. and vocal about what you want. I think that's those are beautiful pieces of advice. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. Keitha, how can people get in touch with you?
You can reach me at kmcbride at anaglobal.com.
Wonderful. And Clint, how can folks get a hold of you?
Email is cnovak at anaglobal.com, or you go to our website, you just type in Clint, and that'll bring you to all the blogs and all the content that we create for the website.
Fantastic. Well, guys, wonderful conversation. I could keep talking to you for the next 3 hours, but unfortunately, our time is up. But thank you for your insights, for your passion for this industry. And, you both are folks that believe in helping other people and helping not only the locations that you work with, but other people in this industry grow and develop. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for being with us today on Think Tank Thursday.
Thank you for letting us tell our story.
Yes. Denise, thanks again for having us. And we're just so proud to be sponsors of Trainertainment. A&A just loves you guys so much. And I hope that anyone who's watching this was able to get a little nugget from it. And, Clint and I are always here, and the team at A&A, to assist anyone if possible. But Denise, you're a gem, and I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to do this today.
Thanks, guys. Well, we will see you again soon. And thanks for being here. Okay, I hope you got a lot of good ideas and advice from Keitha and Clint. They're so fantastic to share their stories with us, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of inspiration as well. I'd like to thank also our digital sponsors for 2025. Of course, Keitha and Clint are both a part of A&A Global, which is one of our sponsors, but we want to thank all of them for their assistance and helping us bring you Think Tank Thursday each and every week. Now, if you have an idea for Think Tank Thursday, or you would just like to be a guest, I want to hear from you. And you can reach me at denise@trainertainment.net. Well, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Think Tank Thursday. And remember that the journey to success is all about growth. And here at Trainertainment, we're committed to helping you and your company thrive. You can visit us at trainertainment.net to learn how we can support your growth journey for yourself, your team, and your business by setting up a free growth call with one of our coaches. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.
Playthrough is an online scoring system for mini golf courses. Simply post a QR code near the first hole. Golfers scan it with any mobile phone, add their golfers, and start entering scores. They can easily view their group leaderboard or the course leaderboards. Playthrough also includes features like hole sponsor logos and hole transition ads to help grow your business. Visit playthroughmini.com to see what else Playthrough can do.